What's up guys, my name is Ace, and once again over the weekend we got a bunch of new leaks for Modern Warfare 2, and this time we're going to be having a look at streaks, perks, as well as field upgrades that have been found in the code of Warzone Mobile, which is currently containing a lot of the assets and strings that it looks like we're going to be seeing in Modern Warfare 2. Now, these leaks are all coming from Reality UK. I will leave a link to his Twitter down below, keeping in mind a lot of this stuff is being DMCA'd by Activision though, so it may not be up for long, but if you search hard enough, I'm sure you'll find these images. And the first part I wanted to cover with this is perks. And it is quite interesting to see with these leaks, it appears we're going to be seeing every single perk from Modern Warfare 2019 return to Modern Warfare 2 with one exception, and that is Point Man. And this is fairly interesting if it turns out to be true because they're just straight up reusing all the same perks. And in some ways I get that. Many of these perks have just become staple perks in Call of Duty. Of course you're going to see it in every Call of Duty game, like something like EOD for explosive resistance, or Ghost, or Cold-Blooded, or Scavenger for instance. All of these are just staple perks, so it's not surprising to see them return. And it is also worth mentioning, just because you find something in the code for the game, it doesn't necessarily mean it makes it into the final build. Things get cut and scrapped all the time, and many times there's also just sort of legacy code from the previous game that's still showing up. But even with that in mind, it does look like we're going to be seeing at least most of the perks from Modern Warfare 2019 return. And then on top of this, there's reference to a few new perks, which unfortunately we don't have descriptions for. Some of them seem fairly self-explanatory, but we have Overcharge, Survivor, Extra Tactical, as well as Pitcher. And with those, if I had to guess, Extra Tactical probably gives you an extra tactical piece of equipment. That one seems super obvious. And Pitcher, to me, seems like a perk that allows you to throw equipment farther and or potentially see the trajectory of the equipment as you're going to be throwing it. As for Overcharge, this one's a complete guess on my end, but when I look at the name of this, I immediately thought of the potential to maybe charge your field upgrade twice. So you can sort of bank your field upgrade once it charges, and then it just continues charging, and you could potentially have two of the same field upgrade ready to go at any given time. And finally, I did also want to mention, there was a string for the Focus perk, which according to the description of it, it says increased hold breath time, and also reduced idle sway and flinch when aiming down sight. And this one's very strange to see in the perks section. In recent years, this was more so relegated to a weapon perk, not a regular perk. But so far, based on what we've seen with the Gunsmith, there isn't going to be a weapon perk section. And it would be very strange for them to bring a perk that reduces flinch back into the game, because that would be such an impactful perk that it typically becomes a crutch, like we saw in Black Ops 2 with toughness. So I don't really know what to make of this at this point, but I did want to mention Focus was there on the list. Now, another thing that was found in the code is something called Overwatch, and this is labeled as a perk package. And there's also mention of it being the ultimate perk. So I believe this is going to be like our new specialist bonus. Instead of calling it specialist, they're going to call it Overwatch, perhaps. Or maybe it's even something different. We don't know for sure. But there's definitely reference to specialist in other areas of the code as well. So it does look like the specialist strike package will be returning, so you can earn potentially all of the perks by going on a streak instead of earning kill streak rewards. So there we go, that's pretty much everything on perks, and there's a few things I wanted to point out here. First up, like I said, there's no Point Man perk this time, which in Modern Warfare converted your kill streaks into score streaks. So that could imply that there's just no ability to have score streaks at all, or maybe they're going to do what I'm hoping they're going to do, and that is put score streaks on a toggle, so you can choose to either have kill streaks or score streaks without having to use a perk. Additionally, the main thing I was looking for when I saw a perk list pop up is the Dead Silence perk, and it doesn't appear to be in the game, at least at this point. At the end of the day, it really comes down to how they balance footstep audio. I really hope we don't have elephant footsteps in this game like we had in Modern Warfare 2019, because that significantly limits your ability to make plays and moves around the map, even if you want to be aggressive and make those pushes. And it heavily discourages movement, because people that are moving are making really loud footstep sounds and giving away their position, whereas for the people that aren't moving, not only are they not making sound for other people to hear, it's also much easier for them to hear enemy footsteps when they're not hearing their own footsteps stomping around. That was one of the biggest gameplay-related downfalls of Modern Warfare 2019, in my opinion, at least for a Call of Duty game, and I'm still really hoping they don't make that same mistake this time around. Now, one last thing I wanted to make a note of here when it comes to this perk list that I'm actually very happy to see is it seems we've got very limited awareness style perks. perks that basically give you the position of enemy players without you having to use your brain. Basically, all we've got this time around is High Alert and Tracker, and I hope it stays that way. I can live with a couple of those perks as long as they also have good counterplay to them, and having an overabundance of those perks was a big issue in Vanguard, because there was never any way to counter all of them, and therefore your position was always being given up by some kind of a perk in the game, without the enemy actually having to have that awareness for themselves. In either case, that's going to wrap it up for the perk section of this video. Not a whole lot of innovation in this area as far as we can see, although we're definitely not seeing the whole picture here when it comes to perks and how they're structured and everything, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that one. Now let's move on to field upgrades. Now, some of these field upgrades have been officially confirmed. I've seen them for myself at a pre-reveal presentation with the developers. And the ones that I have seen and talked about already are the inflatable decoy, the EMP, or they called it DDoS in the presentation. We also see the tactical camera, as well as the bunker buster, which is something that you throw against a wall and then it drills through the wall and shoots a grenade through the other side. Now, on top of these ones that are already officially confirmed by the developers, the leaked ones are Dead Silence, kind of no surprise there in the field upgrade category, Battle Rage, which is described as an experimental stimulant that gives you an adrenaline rush, and while it's active, your health will regenerate quickly, tactical equipment will be resisted, and your tactical sprint is constantly refreshed. So that one seems very interesting for really aggressive players. We've also got the Smoke Airdrop, so it seems like you'll be able to choose a location on the map to drop smoke. The Sonar Pulse, which looks like it's just going to be a little portable radar that you throw on the ground. The Stim Pistol, so presumably you'll be able to use this to heal teammates by either shooting them directly or perhaps even just shooting near them. Hopefully this is something you can also shoot at the ground or inject yourself with, kind of like the Stim Pistol in Battlefield 2042. Finally, a very interesting one here is the Sound Veil. And with this, there's no description for it, but it looks like a placeable piece of equipment that you put on the ground. And my best guess at this point is there will be a certain radius surrounding this piece of equipment, and any enemies that are within that radius are going to have their audio impacted in some way, whether it hides footstep audio or gunfire audio, or maybe it does something totally different. It seems like it's definitely going to have an impact on what they're hearing if they're within a radius of that equipment. And that wraps it up for the leaked field upgrades in the game. That's quite a few field upgrades to be dealing with. That's actually 10 total. And now let's finally have a look at 3 kill streaks that have leaked. Unfortunately, it's only these 3 so far, but the first one is a thermobaric strike, and this looks like it's just some kind of an airstrike that you call in on the map. Then we have the fuel bomb, which appears to be kind of like a cruise missile glide bomb style streak where you control it from above, drop it on the enemy players, and it kills them. And then finally, we have the cluster spike, which my best guess when it comes to this one is it kind of looks like the IMS from Modern Warfare 3, which for those that don't know, this was a placeable kill streak, and any enemy that came within a radius of it would trigger one of the 4 explosives to launch out of the streak up into the air, and then it would come down on you and blow you up. So kind of like a super claymore, essentially. But it is worth noting with this, there was quite a bit of a delay between setting that off and it actually hitting you. So there was some room to outplay it in certain situations at least. And another thing is it was fairly large on the map. So if an enemy sees it from a distance, they could easily just shoot it and destroy it. And there goes your entire kill streak that you got. So as frustrating as I remember certain situations being with that streak, it was also balanced in many ways, and therefore I'm not necessarily fully opposed to seeing something like this as long as they balance it properly in-game. And with that, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. These leaks are really starting to give us a bit more of an indication of how Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer may end up playing out. Like I said though, this definitely isn't painting the whole picture. I'm definitely waiting to see a whole lot more on this and how these all interact with each other before making any sort of finalized impressions. But at least in many ways, it looks like it's going to be more of the same from Modern Warfare 2019. And this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. What are you thinking about the fact that most of the perks in Modern Warfare 2 look like they're going to be basically copied and pasted from Modern Warfare 2019? What are you guys thinking about some of the new leaked field upgrades that we're going to be seeing? And finally, are there any things on this list that you don't like or you feel are missing from the list? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.